Tri-City Animal Shelter is a regional approach shelter. It's a combined effort through the cities of Cedar Hill, Duncanville, and DeSoto. And for me, it really is the best solution for many, many reasons. Each day, basically what we do is we either take in animals who need some assistance in finding a home or they've gotten lost, and we work really hard to try to make sure that we can either get them back to their owners or get them into another suitable home. There are a lot of gaps that still have to be filled, and that's where our Amazing Friends group comes in. We really couldn't do what we do or be who we are, not at the premier level that we try to stay at, without the support of our Friends group.
We come alongside them and support them in whatever ways that we can to help them meet their goals and improve their outcomes. Back in 2013 is when we started our pre-adoption spay-neuter program. The Friends came alongside the shelter and we began to subsidize all of the surgeries. And so what that allowed the shelter to do was to spay or neuter every adopted animal before they went home. And so that brought our compliance rate from a very low compliance with a voucher system up to 100% compliance using the pre-adoption spay-neuter.
There have been several processes in the past by which that's been done, one of which is just give them the animal and trust that they'll have them neutered. We used to give a voucher that they could take to a veterinarian so that the neutering didn't cost them anything, and it was largely unenforceable.
The way that we were able to achieve that is we had 3 local veterinarians who agreed to do those surgeries at a substantially discounted cost for us.
About the last 5 to 6 years, I've been doing spays and neuters daily for the shelter, 2 a day, to make sure that all of our adopted pets are pre-spayed and pre-neutered before they go to homes.
As it is, our animals, if they're not already fixed and they're on the adoption floor, if they're adopted on Friday, they're here till Monday. And the goal is to have them fixed before they even hit the adoption floor, so that as soon as that family falls in love with them, they can take them home.
Additionally, I think that one of the challenges with depending on these veterinarians, while they've been very dependable for us, we can't expect them to provide this service forever.
Our 3 veterinarians are all nearing retirement age. We have one who has already let us know that she'll be retiring next year. And when you look at the cost, even just from losing one of those 3 partners, the cost of our program goes up substantially. And so that's very concerning. It makes us worry about the sustainability of the pre-adoption spay-neuter program. And making that sustainable is really what we're trying to do with the surgical suite and the medical center.
This is an investment in the future. It is incredibly important to be able to provide these services, but it's also something that has a return. You end up taking in fewer animals in the long run. You end up having fewer animals that you can't find homes for. It ends up helping your adoptions rate go up and your euthanasia rates go down. And ideally, that's what every community should be striving for, is doing whatever it takes to be able to save as many lives as possible.
I've been involved in the government at the city, county, and state level for the last 30 years of my professional life. And I will tell you that those programs that work best are the collaborative programs that involve a public interest and a public commitment, as well as the government's participation. This is not an issue of what can we do to help the animals, but who needs to take responsibility for the animals. This is an issue of quality of life for everyone.
It's a long-term goal. It's unrealistic to say it's going to happen immediately. Overpopulation is a huge, huge problem. There are enough animals out in the world that don't have homes that come into shelters, but it will happen over a period of time if we can control the number of population.
The solution long-term is to have a surgical suite that we can utilize, that we can perform surgeries in whenever needed. Not only does it handle that day-to-day need for the adopted animals, it also creates it to where if we're in a situation with a disaster response or things like that, we also have that right there that could be utilized even in the middle of the night if necessary for emergencies.
A lot of our animal welfare calls would be a dog or a cat hit by a car, and if they're not wearing any tags or anything like that, we have no identification, then as an officer we have to transport them to the animal shelter. And in that case, when we do bring them in, without having a vet on staff, we're just limited to what the staff can actually do for the pet at the time. So having a vet here on site would expedite that to where we could get some vet treatment on that pet right away.
There is a building next door to the shelter that is the old shelter facility, and it's really the perfect place to put this surgical suite and medical center. It's set up very well for us. Within that building, the largest space will be the surgery suite. It'll have a glass operating room in the middle of the largest room with all of the recovery housings around the operating room. And what that will allow the veterinarian and the technician to do is, as they're performing those surgeries and animals are waking up from anesthesia, they'll be able to monitor all those animals at the same time that they're performing their surgeries. And then in another part of the building, we're going to build in some isolation areas for treatment. And that's really important because when you have a sick animal come into the shelter with a contagious disease, we want to isolate that animal as quickly as possible. And so it will be really nice to have a space outside of the main building where as soon as we see a symptom, we can move that animal to isolation. They have a nice, comfortable, safe place to recover, and we don't jeopardize the health of the rest of the animals in the shelter. Another feature that we're going to be building into the facility is a classroom. We do lots of partnership with schools and camps and other nonprofits, specifically focused with kids to teach them about responsible pet ownership, animal welfare issues. And so this classroom actually has a big window into the surgery suite, so they'll be able to see what's going on.
It would be a really good opportunity for me and others because I have thought about being a vet or someone who works with animals. The goal is if we have a vet here, volunteers, after they've gotten a little bit more comfortable here, will be able to assist or watch on occasion any procedures that they deem fit.
Our community is getting together to work hard to create this surgery suite will be a legacy that can be provided to our communities for the future. We want to be our very best. We want to make sure that we are the epitome of a premier animal shelter. And this is really the only piece that we're missing is our surgical suite. And with the help of the friends, I think that's what we're going to have.